welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your hosts. My name is Halie.
And I'm Demi, and today we are talking about the universal laws. So if you are at all spiritual, into law of attraction or manifestation, I'm sure you've heard about the law of attraction as a spiritual concept. However, I love the fact that manifestation is actually science-backed. And so today we're going to talk about that. And as my late mentor, Bob Proctor, always said, that blind faith is useless. But the more you study, the more sure you become about what you believe, and then you can create what you desire to have in your reality. So of course, it's not easy to believe that you're wealthy when you don't see wealth. But when you understand these universal laws, you can have whatever you want. So let's hop into it. The first thing I want to talk about isn't exactly a law, but just a fact of science and physics, and everyone kind of knows this, but everything is made up of energy. And the first law of thermodynamics is that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed, which is extremely significant. Now, the second law that I want to talk about is the law of vibration, which states that everything is vibrating at a specific frequency at all times. So that includes you. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into this. Here's a warning. You might have an existential crisis during this episode, but it's going to be a good one. So hold tight. Buckle up.
Totally. Honestly, I feel like these laws have actually helped me better understand my existence here and like my understanding my beingness, and on a deeper level that I feel like a lot of people are missing in their life. And I love how all of these things kind of interconnect and help you expand further, you know, when you're in this journey called life, but will also apply forever. Like these are things that are infinite that will apply to any being or version of you beyond this life, which is really cool. And you did mention how law of attraction is more widespread. People know about the law of attraction, but I feel like understanding these other laws help you have a deeper understanding of the law of attraction as well. And all of these kind of, like I said, work together. And the deeper that you understand them and the more that you work with them, the deeper into it that you can get, and the more that you can work with the universe and the cosmos to create your life and feel whole.
Yes. The more you study, the easier it becomes. And like you said, everything is intertwined. I am obsessed with the fact that what I believe can be backed up by science and math. Like, I love proof. I love logic. I want to know the truth. And so we're going to jump into that in this episode. So quantum physicists discovered that physical atoms are made up of vortices of energy that are constantly spinning and vibrating, each one radiating its own unique energy signature, where the law of vibration comes into effect. We are beings of energy and vibration, radiating our own unique energy signature. This is a fact that is proved by quantum physics. If you observed the composition of an atom, which we know, from middle school science class, that everything is made up of atoms, all matter is made up of atoms, you would see a small, invisible, tornado-like vortex with a number of infinitely small energy vortices called quarks and photons. As you focus closer and closer on the structure of the atom, you would see nothing. You would observe a physical void. Isn't that mind-blowing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
The atom has no physical structure. We have no physical structure. Physical things really don't have any physical structure. Atoms are made out of invisible energy, not tangible matter. The universe is immaterial, mental, and spiritual, said Richard Conhenry, who was a professor of physics and astronomy at Johns Hopkins University. And that quote comes from The Mental Universe. Now, if you are familiar with Johns Hopkins University, it is one of the top universities in the world, especially in the medical field. A fundamental conclusion of physicists is that the observer creates the reality. Now, so many people get confused and upset even and angry about this conclusion, but it cannot be unproven because it is backed up by fact. And actually the CIA did a massive like experiment on this exact topic, which is funny to me because I'm like, the CIA is a figment of my imagination in the first place, it's mind-blowing when you really understand. But let's continue. So the universe is a mental construction, and the double slit experience, I want you to look this up because I'm probably going to explain it a little bit wrong, but it will help you understand this kind of theory deeper. And it explains the role of consciousness in shaping the nature of physical reality. So what I understand the double slit experience or experiment to be was an experiment where they were measuring photons of light. And light either shows up in photons or waves, depending on what you're choosing to measure it by. Mm-hmm. So depending on what the observer expects it to be or is planning on measuring it to be, it will show up either as waves or photons. So you have to decide if you want to measure it in waves, it will show up as waves. And if you want to measure it in photons, it will show up as photons. So look it up. I am not a physicist. I am just obsessed with quantum physics. Check it out for yourself to understand that better. But I just love that fact. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, said Nikola Tesla. Mm-hmm. I mean, and all of this is backed by the greatest scientists in history, including like Einstein. And I just love it. I love it. Yeah. I'm obsessed.
Yes,
it's
like
so
people
cool.
We still reference today.
Yes.
But I feel like people don't dive deep enough into their philosophies.
Yes.
They take like the surface level of it and forget about all of this like amazing magical.
Like, what does it really mean for us, So we're going to get to that at the end of this, at the end of these little facts. But I feel that I have often approached people with this information, and it's as if they are brainwashed into not understanding it. And it's like, it's not hard. It's not really complicated. The average person can understand what I'm saying. But for some reason, it doesn't really hit people until they're ready to hear it. Mm-hmm. And it's really fascinating to me because it's like, it's just science. Like, it's just math. You can write it down. You can look at it. You can see it yourself. Like, why are you having a hard time understanding? Mm-hmm. Because I think it's a bit scary for people to understand that they have power of creation in their own reality. But let's continue.
Yes.
It has been proven that different states of emotion, perception, and feelings result in different electromagnetic frequencies. Now, you can see experiments done by this, and our favorite guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, has done experiments on this as well. But I just love that fact as well because, it's just more proof towards this. Now, I discovered, I was taught this by Bob Proctor, but before I get into it, I want to say, if I asked you to picture your fridge, could you picture it? If I asked you to picture your car, could you picture it, your front door? You see the picture in your mind, and that's because we think in pictures. But if I ask you to picture your mind, most people end up saying it's the brain. And the brain is a body part. It's not the mind. And so Dr. Thurman Fleet created this diagram of the mind in the 1930s, and Bob Proctor taught it to me and thousands of other people. When you understand it, you grasp the concept that we have the power to change our thoughts and therefore our reality. First, you must understand that emotions are energy in motion. Feelings are the conscious awareness of the frequency at which we vibrate at. So, if you have your camera or your video on, I'm going to hold up this picture of this diagram of the mind. And if you do not, picture a stick figure, and the head is cut into two horizontally, right? Back and forth, yeah. The head is cut into two horizontally, and the top half is the conscious mind, and the bottom half is the subconscious mind. So there's always energy flowing through us, and when energy comes in, we have the ability to accept or reject it with our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind. And say we're like watching TV or social media or something. We talk about this all the time on this podcast. You can either say, I believe this and I want to accept this. And maybe it's like, there's war and everything's falling apart. Everyone's sick. The world's ending. And if you allow that in, it will impose on your subconscious mind. And then your subconscious mind is your feeling mind, and it will create an emotion within you, energy and motion. And then you will act out of your emotions, because that's what we do as humans. We act out of our emotions. And so what happens here is we get into this cycle where you have a result, or you see something on TV, like there's a result. Well, your reality is your result right now, your current reality. And you have a thought about that reality. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we have this negative thought process where we're going to have a negative thought. It's going to cause negative emotion, and then we're going to act out of that, which then creates the same result or an even worse one. And so it's proving to us again and again, like, oh, my thoughts are right, and everything's bad. See, look, my car broke. Oh, everything's bad. See, look. And it's like, well, yeah, but here's the thing. If you catch it in the thought, you can change the emotion, change the action, and change the result. And learning this figure, as simple as it is, has also been just as profound as it is simple. And that's the beauty of that yin and yang of the universe. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Totally. And thinking of it in a more positive light too, when you start noticing the positive things, you go outside, you take a breath of fresh air and you notice that and you're like, wow, that feels so good. Then you start noticing all these things around you that are amazing. Then you see 111. Then like you find, money on the ground or something. Like you change how you're thinking, and it's going to reflect that. Like if you don't attach that emotion to it immediately, like you could walk outside and notice like something negative, or you could notice something positive. Like that's up to you on a very simple level, like, and then things kind of snowball from there.
Yes. And you perpetuate your thinking, right? So if you choose that positive end of the stick, it's going to be just as easy to stay in that positive cycle as it is to stay in the negative one. And I think that's profound, just realizing that too. Like it's hard to be stuck in the negative, actually. It's a struggle. You don't have to be stuck there. You can just as easily get stuck in the positive, and it's great.
Yes. As we always reference, like Abraham Hicks and like paddling upstream, like it's really hard, but people love to do it.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes. Like just let go and go with the flow. Oh. All right. So Bob always said, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. And because we think in pictures, our imagination is the creator, and everything that's ever existed in reality had to be created by somebody's imagination, which is quite profound too. So the law of attraction, I think a lot of people really misinterpret it. We've talked about it before. A lot of people think it's self-blaming. A lot of people think it's more of a forceful thing rather than a like inner power, inspiration, attracting kind of thing. So I've heard a lot of people say that really it should be considered the law of resonance, which makes a little bit more sense, because the law of resonance is the frequency of your thoughts and emotions and experiences will attract similar things in the outside world vibrating at the same frequency as your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. And with the law of attraction, it isn't like you're thinking about what you want and then you're getting it. It's you feel as though you already have it. Mm-hmm. It's a frequency. So again, frequent feeling means the conscious awareness of the frequency at which your thoughts are vibrating at. So like a radio, you can tune to the same frequency as your desires. And when you do that, the universe has no choice but to give you things in the external reality that are vibrating at the same frequency as those thoughts and feelings that you're having. So it's not self-blaming. And most of the time, we're not consciously thinking about, oh, I love feeling good. Like, we're caught up in whatever nonsense is going on outside in the subconscious programming that we've been taught, rather than like I am creating this entire reality. It's infinite and magical, and I can have whatever I want.
And you take control, you take power. You are the creator.
Yes.
When you can understand that and start to like manipulate energy or work with vibration and energy. And it's important, I think, to learn these other laws, because as you had just said, like, you can better understand law of attraction when you also look at this law. And when you work with these different things, you get to understand it deeper and work with it more in depth, as we've already said. But also, like, it's kind of ignorant to just look at the law of attraction and think you're using it or working with it or understand it without taking a more like holistic approach to like your being and like understanding these other concepts with it. It like clarifies it for you.
And it's not to say, like, we've talked about being the perfect fool. Like, you can, if you fully believe in law of attraction, you feel it and it's working for you, good. Keep doing that. But if you find yourself having a hard time manifesting because you are looking at your external reality and saying it's not here and recognizing the lack, that's why you need to study, because you're going to realize that the external doesn't matter. It's what you think about it. It's what you allow in. You have all of the power within your thoughts, within your mind. So I actually just found this today, and I've never been so excited to find some new information. It is called the law of reversibility. In the video that I saw, it was just a short one on a reel. It said, if water can turn to steam, steam can turn into water. Mass turns into energy, and energy can turn into mass. And I mean, we know that. Like, think about a train, you know, you put coal and it makes it work. And, you know, wind turning the windmills can create energy. I mean, the sun makes the plants grow. Like, we know that energy turns into mass and that mass turns into energy. Like, we see it every day, all day, everywhere. So, if circumstance can produce a feeling or thought, that means that a feeling or thought can produce a circumstance. Now, Einstein's equation stating that energy is mass, E equals mc squared. Energy is mass times the speed of light squared. It backs up this information. It states that mass and energy are equivalent in the sense that a gain or loss of mass can be regarded equally as a gain or loss of energy. And this same video said that our emotions are the light in Einstein's equation. I'm not sure that I agree with that, but I also don't disagree, which is interesting, because I would think our emotions would be the energy. But at the same time, light is energy. So it's hard. It's both.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
But this also means, and I came up with this on my own while I was meditating, if God can create us, then we also create God. And if God created all that is what creates God.
Also, law of oneness.
Yeah. It's both. It's both. So, I mean, when you really understand this information, what does that mean for you? You know? And to me, it means that if you practice the thoughts that you want to believe, that you want to be true, you can change your vibration, you can change your actions, and you can change the reality that you're experiencing. And nothing is permanent. The only constant is change. Our reality works just like a hologram, which projects through a pattern, and the pattern is held by our subconscious mind. So if you change your feelings, you will then change the projection that you experience in the external reality.
I think that alone can be so helpful for people, because you remember that you have the power. Like, you aren't a victim of circumstance anymore.
Yes.
And instead, you get to choose. Like, it invites more of a choice in your life of like deciding what you want and then making that happen. And then it becomes less of a struggle because you know that you are connected to all that is. You are, you know, that really amazing analogy of like, if God can create you, you can create God. Like, you can create like divinity in your reality. You have that within you. And I think that a lot of people are either scared to think that, or, you know, I think a religion alone can put a lot of limiting beliefs in people's mind, in that, you know, there's only one God and like he holds the power. That can be very limiting to people. And I also wonder, and I can't speak on this from experience, of like, do people feel like they're betraying their religion if they like change how they view God, or if they view God within themselves? Like, does that bring its own set of challenges of like feeling guilty for doing so or whatever? Like, I don't know. Again, I don't know from experience, but
I definitely think that is a thing. I think it's really fascinating to me because I also find that the Bible and most religions do back up these concepts, interestingly enough. But I think that terminology is really important, because a lot of people will think that believing that you are a godly creator would then be a sin because there's only one God. But at the same time, they believe that God is within you in a way as well. And interestingly enough, it says that we are here to do God's work. And well, God is the creator. So what is God's work? Creation. So are we not here to create in the way that God itself is doing?
yeah.
You know, and so I think it comes from fear, mostly, and just a misinterpretation of religion that scares people away from this. And Bob Proctor, he was a religious man, and he always said that people are very afraid to take responsibility over their own reality. But when you do, and when you are willing to, then you also gain your power to create the reality that you want to have as well.
That's so good. I also think that, you know, the Bible is full of really amazing and profound knowledge, and it does align with a lot of, you know, the laws of the universe and things. But a lot of people learn the teachings of the Bible from their preacher or whatever. So they're learning it from the perspective of the priest or preacher reading it. Like, they're learning their perspective of the Bible instead of going and exploring their own understanding of it without someone else's perspective like influencing the mix.
I absolutely agree. I think if people, it's unfortunate because I understand the purpose of religious groups and churches and things like that, and I think it is important that we unite with each other because we are all one. However, I think it's also important that we make sure that before anything else, we are in tune with our own intuition, the inner voice within ourselves, because with that external influence, it can change your thoughts like so deeply that it will change your life. And a lot of times we are taking on the limiting beliefs of other people and misconceptions of their own beliefs. I do think that if an individual were to read the Bible, or honestly pretty much any religious scripture, without the influence of church or other people telling them what they thought it meant, it would be fascinating to hear their perception. And I bet you that many people would have different ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Totally.
That's that. Yeah, I mean, this episode, it's profound. And if you want us to jump deeper into some of these laws, absolutely let us know. We got a little more, but re-listen to this one because it can and will change your life.
Totally. There are, I mean, definitely a lot more universal laws where that came from, but I think that this is a really great, like, overarching piece to listen to. Like, I feel like you offered a lot of really amazing insights that took us years to like learn and figure out and understand deeply. So this one is a really important one to re-listen to and to contemplate and think about. And if there's something in particular that piques your interest, like go learn more about that and expand on your spiritual journey, because you guys, this is gold.
Yes. Yes. All right. Shall we pull a card?
All right. Naturally, we're going to pull from the Moon Witch Tarot deck. It's feeling kind of springy outside today, and this just embodies that, I feel like. So.
Yes.
Also, with spring kind of rolling in here, we have an episode about the energy of spring that we did last year around the start of the podcast. And it's a really good one. And I think it's really important to learn how we can better align with the seasons and nature. And there's actually a universal law that is called the law of rhythm, and it states that cycles are a natural part of the universe, just like the 4 seasons. Your life has seasons too. And so I think that, connecting to the seasons is a great way to start creating and connecting to the natural cycles of the universe. So definitely check that out, and we'll make sure to link that below.
The Ace of Wands. So in this one, the stars are shining, the pyramids are in the background, and a beautiful hand is holding a stick or representing a wand of nature, and there's clouds below the hand. It's super magical. If you're watching the video, I am holding the card up for you.
Okay, so the Ace of Wands, and with it being ace, like that aligns with new beginnings, which is a major theme of this card, along with creativity, inspiration, new opportunity, and desire. To me, that also makes me think of the new moon, because at the new moon, it is kind of a new beginning. This is kind of when you are going to tap into like some inspiration and start to kind of dream or think about what you want to call in. So we'll see what this card has to say. So the Ace of Wands depicts a hand emerging from the clouds, presenting an opportunity, a blessing from the sky. The 3 leaves on the wand represent creativity, imagination, and vision. These 3 energies are essential to bring anything into fruition. Ace of Wands is presenting an opportunity, so grab it. Ace always represents new beginnings and endeavors with a rich promise. Aces are like a magic witchy wand of directed and focused energy. You just have to decide where to focus that energy. Ace of Wands is also known as the just go for it card, or the sign you've been waiting for card. Start taking actions, take small steps every day. Continue to grow your ideas over time. You have what it takes. The reverse meaning of this card, and we didn't pull it reversed, but if this aligns with you, it usually points to the fact that you might not know what you really want to do, what step to take next, or what path to choose. It could also signify that you're pursuing a goal that doesn't excite you anymore. Since you've spent so much time on it, you're struggling to let it go. No matter where you are on your journey, the reversed Ace of Wands asks you to consider taking some time off, reflect on your plans and goals, and make an adjustment or switch activities to allow inspiration and excitement to come back to you. This might not be the best time to start something new.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I also like that it kind of aligns with spring as well. because spring represents kind of that new beginning. It's actually when the zodiac year starts, it is in the spring. And so I think that it brings like a lot of that like creative, inspirational energy. Like even looking outside today and feeling the sun on me, I feel like so much more excited and inspired about life.
I feel the same. I felt the energy of that card today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah. So also that's super cool. Like for those of you who align with this, like what is this is the sign you've been waiting for? Like, what are you going to do? Like, I need to know.
Yes. Please share with us.
Yeah. But with that, I guess we are going to wrap up this episode. We had a lot of fun. We can definitely dive deeper into the laws if you would like that. And as always, just let us know what you want to hear from us. We're so grateful for you. I think it's almost been a year of us doing this, so that is so crazy. And we're just so happy for those who have tagged along on the journey, and those of you who are new. There's just so many amazing things ahead. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.